Hi, this is Tim McKean from Herberger Online. If you're using the Canvas integration with Zoom and you're having trouble getting authenticated into the correct account or having your students get authenticated into the correct account, here's what might be happening. As we see on my screen, I'm getting a warning that says user does not exist or does not belong to this account. And what happens is that in Canvas, Zoom looks at what email address you have set up as your primary email address in Canvas. And so in this case, I'm seeing that it tells me timothymckean@gmail does not exist or belong to this account. And that's because as a user, I've gone in and added some additional email addresses, and my Gmail address is set up here as my primary. Even if I set my timothymckean@asu email address as my primary, and then go back to Zoom, I still get a warning, and then a little bit different warning, but this time it says the instructor's email, timothy.mckean@asu.edu, is invalid. In order to authenticate as the instructor, and also for your students as well, in order to authenticate as the correct ASU Zoom user account, they need to set their ASU right at ASU email address as their primary address in Canvas. If I select that now, and I can see my default email is set to tmckean1@asu.edu, and if I go back and refresh that Zoom app, now it works just fine. It's accessing my correct account just fine. So that's something you want to make sure that you do, and something that you want to make sure that your students are doing as well, so that especially if you're setting up a meeting, for example, if I schedule a new meeting here, something to keep in mind on these meeting options, I can use the option to use my personal meeting ID. Remember, that's the link where your students are going to go if they're using the Attend Remotely link on My ASU. So make sure you're doing that. Otherwise, it's going to set up a separate meeting with a separate ID and your students won't be able to find it. And if you're using this option here, only authenticated users can join. And UTO has added the functionality here that they can only join with addresses from an asu.edu account. If they don't have that correct email account set up as their default email in Canvas, even though they're authenticated into Canvas, they won't be able to join the meeting. So if you're having trouble authenticating into Zoom meetings through Canvas, double check that your default email address is set as your ASU right at asu.edu email address. And for your students, if you're expecting them to be authenticated into an asu.edu account, they need to make sure that they have an asu.edu email address set as their default as well. Hope that helps. Let us know if you have any questions.